Hello, Canucks fans. Welcome back to another episode of Canucks Conversation, brought to you by Bet365. We're coming to you from the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studios. Visit shoptoyota.ca or visit your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. My name is Dick Vitrilli. I'm joined by Harmand, who's going to have to do a lot of reining in today because the Vancouver Canucks beat the Calgary Flames by a final score of 8-1. The preseason doesn't matter, Harm, and I know that. I get that. But the process last night, I think, matters a lot. Again, a lot of creating off the rush, a lot of good reloads, which is what they were kind of struggling with, a lot of breakaways, more for the Canucks, but some against them as well. Countless odd man rushes. Derek Forbert scoring off the rush, holding on to pucks at the blue line. Max Sasson with a nice little give and go as well. Quinn Hughes with a big stretch pass. Quinn Hughes with a 2-goal, 1-assist performance, 3 points for the captain last night. I'm not going to have anything negative to say today. I'm not going to have anything other than, like I said, planning the parade is the title of today's show. I don't have, you're going to have to just kind of rein me in and give some proper analysis because I'm really enjoying, like last night, I just had so much fun. It's so much fun to watch a team score off the rush. It's so much fun to not watch them just gain the line and dump it in. And I'll say this as well. There was a sequence last night. I can't remember which player it was. I'm actually pretty sure it was Linus Karlsson. Gained the red line and chipped it in on a change. And there was like a glance back to Linus Karlsson from one of his teammates that was like, we don't do that anymore. We carry the puck in now. I might be totally wrong about reading in how I read into that sequence, but that's how I read into it. This team holds on to pucks. This team carries pucks into the offensive zone. So far, pretty unstoppable, if you ask me. Don't know if Jacob, go back to the predictions show. Change mine. Cup winner. Vancouver Canucks. I had so much.
Okay, so I think JPAT summed it up very well, where he had a tweet something to the effect of Canucks fans are saying this is awesome, this is fun as hell, and Flames fans are saying this doesn't matter at all. This is preseason, and both things are true, right? JPAT nailed it with that. You can enjoy what happened last night and feel really good about individual players and the process and all that, but ultimately this does not matter for the regular season. It matters maybe in terms of individual player performances, which we'll get to in terms of I feel more confident in, let's say, in Elias Petterson or Victor Mancini starting the season strong. But for the team as a whole, beating up on the Calgary Flames without Dustin Wolf isn't making me go, oh, they're bound to finish top three in the Pacific for sure. It's funny too, because I remember I tweeted this out late in 2022 in the lead up to the 2022-23 NHL season. At that point, the only two NHL teams that had gone undefeated in preseason since 2016 were the 2021 Arizona Coyotes and the 2016-17 Colorado Avalanche that won just 22 games that whole year. So preseason results do not matter at all. And we can also think about the year a couple years ago when the Flames themselves dusted the Canucks 10-0, and then the Canucks that year ended up winning the division. So I'm not gonna start planning the parade after this. We can absolutely have some fun, and again, there are individual player performances that I feel optimistic about in terms of what it could mean once the real games actually matter. But for the team as a whole, I'm not sitting here necessarily saying 100%. I know for sure that every tweak Adam Foote is trying to implement is going to be an instant success.
Yeah, in all seriousness, I'll rein it back a bit. I did find myself asking after that game during training camp, you and I were asking, okay, this is great. They're going to try to create off the rush. How long is it going to last? And to be fair, when they tried it last year, it lasted through the preseason, but then about 4 games into the season, it was like very evident that this was not going to work. And hey, maybe I'm falling for it again, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing. Again, like Mancini last night, I thought looked good as well. He gets an opportunity to kill penalties. And the reason I'm singling out Mancini is because, at least in my view, the big reason that the implementations didn't work last year was because they had no puck movers on the back end. But Mancini, again, we talked about he needs to rein in some of the defensive game, sure, but he's going to move the puck well. He's going to hold on to some pucks in the defensive zone. He's going to stick handle his way out of trouble in the defensive zone to make a good outlet pass. And he did that a couple times last night. I really like Victor Mancini's game. Again, he kills penalties last night as well.
He was excellent. It was exactly what I wanted to see from him, not just from the puck moving side, but keeping things simple and managing risk. The internal debate I'm having now is whether he could actually leapfrog DPD as far as being a top 6 defender for game 1 of the regular season. You mentioned the PK. It wasn't just, he got shifts here and there. It was 7:04 last night on the penalty kill. A lot of extensive time there, and I thought positionally he was sound. He had a couple of great clears, especially during some of the first period kills. And for Mancini as well, when it comes to the puck moving, we know that he's a fast north-south puck rusher, but to be an effective puck mover in the NHL, you need skills outside of just you skate fast. It comes down to your composure under pressure. Can you make good passes under pressure? Are you deceptive and crafty enough to, when there's a forechecker right on your back and you don't actually have space to be able to wheel it out, can you problem solve out of that situation? And those are the details where I saw Mancini impress. It wasn't just the end-to-end rushes. It was in the first period, especially, there was a spot where really tight area in the defensive zone corner, all kinds of pressure on his back, and he showed great deception to fake going one way and then turn back the other, using his agility in tight quarters to lead a clean exit. A couple of nice stretch passes as well, because again, you're, as a defenseman, you're not going to be able to carry it out every time. You're going to need to be able to make consistent tape-to-tape passes as well. In the third period, the Quinn Hughes goal, which ended up being a 3-on-1 rush, it started with Mancini using a stick in the defensive zone to break up a Calgary pass into the slot. Without him forcing that turnover, without him breaking that play up defensively, there is no odd man rush going back the other way. And then also keeping things simple, as far as I remember there was one shift in the first period where he was out late. The Flames had just turned it over. Mancini was starting to skate it up the ice, and he was debating whether to try and make something happen offensively, but he instead sort of got to the offensive blue line and just chipped it in and went for a change, understanding that, hey, if I turn a puck over here, I'm going to be tired and I'm not going to be able to get back in time to defend. So I think from a risk to reward ratio, that was a smart decision that the coaching staff will appreciate. And again, even in the offensive zone, he wasn't trying to do too much. A couple of smart keep-ins, but outside of that, he wasn't just roving all over the ice and enforcing plays that weren't there. Just all around an excellent performance for him.
Scott in the Facebook chat said Mancini should stay. Impressive game last night. Like you said, there's so many individual performances that we can single out and talk about. Let's do some of that with the host of Rink Wide Vancouver, Jeff Patterson, who's brought to you by our friends over at Greta, a great spot for all games, home and away. Speaking of which, October 11th, Edmonton, Vancouver, we are going to be there for our first watch party of the year. Folks, if you haven't been to a watch party yet, and there's a lot of people that have that listen to the show, we hang out with them all the time. If you haven't been to one yet, make this the one you come out to. I'm hearing about some of the stuff we've got planned, and it is going to be a doozy. It's going to be a good one. You've got the arcade at Greta, you've got the bar, you've got the street food menu, and of course, you get to hang out with us, and it's always a lot of fun. We give away a lot of Canucks Army merch, other giveaways as well, all sorts of stuff. It's always so much fun, our watch parties, and always a good time at Greta. So make sure you check it out. 50 West Cordova Street is the address. Let the games begin. And you can get your tickets, I think, now at nationgear.ca. Yeah. Am I right about that, Jacob? We'll find out.
I don't know, but I believe everything is up and ready to go.
Sweet. If not, send me a DM. We'll get you in. All right, please don't actually do that. We're gonna figure this out soon. Let's get
100 DMs after today's show.
Yeah, get me in, get me on the list. Not quite how it works. Yeah, there's gonna be a link coming soon. I'll check in on that. Jacob, get our best people on that. Jacob is our best people, so Jacob, get on it. Jeff Patterson, let's bring him in. J-Pat joins us now. Jeff, you were at practice at ABC today. Obviously, you watched last night's game as well. What do you think the best route for a parade is?
Well, they could go from my house to UBC. That would cover a lot of ground. Yeah, I haven't spent a lot of time. I guess I've had lots of years to think about the parade that hasn't happened yet. But I will play the role of Harm as well and try and sort of walk you back and rein you in here, Harm, Quads, because you've gone 12 minutes of this show and you haven't mentioned the name Ivan Prosvetov yet. And all evaluation of last night's game has to track back to the fact that a goalie doing everything in his power to make the Calgary Flames absolutely crap the bed and did not stop a puck. Like, imagine thinking like this is your last shot and you come up with that performance. So he was brutal. Devin Cooley was a little bit better coming in a tough situation. But in saying that, like, that looked like 40-goal Brock Besser pulling the trigger to open the scoring. And then obviously the one-timer from Elias Pettersson. But it is hard to evaluate really after it got to about 4-0. I mean, the Flames looked totally disinterested. The goalies couldn't stop the puck. So the final 40 minutes was just sort of, almost like road hockey, almost just up and back and taking chances. But I don't want to take away from what the Canucks did. You talked about, how aggressive we've seen them. I swear, and look, I've been at this for a while. You guys have been on the job for a bunch of years now too. They look as fast as I can remember them. And not just in games, but in practices. I think training camp, I thought the pace and the tempo, and they've carried that through the preseason here. It wasn't that long ago that this was a team that had Tanner Pearson and Louis Eriksson and even Bo Horvat, who was never going to be mistaken for the fastest guy in the league, Brock Besser. They have upgraded. And I do wonder if that sort of brought some of those other guys along with them to the point. I was just watching practice today out at UBC, and maybe they were feeling it after an 8-1 win, but they looked like they had some jump again. And so that's exciting to me that this is not a team that we've spoken about in those terms, being fast. Relative to the rest of the National Hockey League, but they do look like they have picked up the pace. So, better to be on the right side of an 8-1 scoreline than the wrong one. You take what you can out of it, but ultimately it is preseason. I think for me, the one takeaway is, you want Brock Besser feeling good going into the regular season. You want Elias Pettersson believing that he can score that goal when they start playing for keeps. So if it's just positive reinforcement, even for guys that have been doing this for years and really shouldn't need positive reinforcement, that's kind of my biggest takeaway. That, 7 different goal scorers, I think 13 guys are in on the scoring. It turned out to be a pretty good night all around, but at the end of the night, you flush it because it was just preseason and it really doesn't mean an awful lot in the big picture.
You spoke about the Canucks looking so much faster as a team. I bet a bunch of that has to do with the blue line, where last year we were talking about a bottom four, Soucy, Myers, Forbert, Desharnais, couldn't move the puck at all in the first half of the season. And now the players that they have further down the lineup, with the exception of Derek Forbert, who he himself hasn't looked slow. He's been jumping up and down the ice. But you've got Mancini, who skates like the wind. Petey, despite being a bigger guy, is an excellent skater. So is Tom Villander. When it comes to that third pair configuration for game one of the regular season, we've spent a lot of time talking about Mancini. We know DPD still going to be in the competition and should be based on how well he played down the stretch. Derek Forbert reminded us last night that he's still a rock solid option there. How would you, if it was up to you, configure that third pair for game one of the regular season?
Well, we got a little bit of news out of practice today that I think throws, a bit of a wrench into all of this, in as much as P.O. Joseph is nursing a groin injury that Adam Foote didn't put a timeline on it, but I do wonder if this is something that might drag through the weekend when they have to set a lineup and a roster here. And does he start the season on IR, and do all of these young guys stick around? So we'll have to see. Derek Forbert played the one shift in the third period last night. Adam Foote told us today that was simply load management in an 8-1 game or a 6-1 game at the time. They just don't need a guy like Derek Forbert at this stage of his career logging additional minutes when you have the youth and enthusiasm of Victor Mancini. So that was part of why Mancini ended up leading the Canucks in ice time last night, was they just kept running him out, and no need to play Tyler Myers, no need to play Derek Forbert, no need to play Quinn Hughes, who finished with, I think, 21 and change, and give Mancini all the reps that he can get and he can handle, and he's showing that he can handle them all. So the way they had 7 defensemen at practice today, it was really the top 2 pairs together, and then the 3 kids kind of rotated through when they did drills and line rushes. And Nils Åman, yes, Nils Åman, still on the roster, was slotted in as the 8th defenseman, so to give them 4 pairs to work through.
Poor Nils Åman, man.
I know.
Holy
I
cow.
think you can read into that what's in his immediate future. So, look, Mancini's been really impressive, scored a couple of goals, but it's not about the offense necessarily for him. I did think he played a more controlled game. You went through some of his highlights, and I would agree. And then Petey's been solid in the preseason. I think Willander's had his moments, but I still think of those three, he's probably at the bottom of that battle just because of his inexperience at this level and the fact that, I think it's in his best interest to play a lot. And part of that equation is no Jet Wu. And now we've learned that no Guillaume Brisebois down in Abbotsford. Like, whoever they send down is going to be leaned on to play a ton. Yeah. And that's a good thing. Like, talk about an opportunity. So I hope that however it's sold to whoever has to go down to Abbotsford, like the other part is too, like years ago, you were dispatching these guys to Utica, right? Out of sight, out of mind. I would think there's almost an excitement level to go to Abbotsford. I know they want to be in the NHL, but if you have to go to the minors, you're going to play for Manny Malhotra. We saw what he was able to do in his first year. We know what he's been able to do to help develop guys. Like, this isn't a bad news story at all for some of these young guys and even the forwards that wind up going back to Abbotsford. Like, there are good vibes out in the Fraser Valley. And I think we all understand that it's going to be temporary, that most of these light cuts will get an opportunity at some point over the course of the season. So, Foote said today that Forbort won't play tomorrow night. They're just being cautious with him because they want him for opening night, which is pretty much a tell there that Derek Forbort's going to be in the opening night lineup. And that's why we've seen DPD spend some time on the right in the preseason, because if he makes the team, pretty good chance that he would have to play over there. And obviously Mancini's a natural righty. So Adam Foote said he thought it was going to be pretty close to a full lineup tomorrow night. Didn't name names precisely, so we'll have to see the morning skate, but I am expecting to see a pretty close to opening night lineup. And so however it shakes down, I think we'll get a pretty good indication of what the coaching staff is thinking about October 9th against the Flames.
Jeff, you could take Vitaly Kravtsov's name out of this conversation. He was put on waivers today. But how do you see it shaking out for the final roster spots? Again, we've just touched on the defense, but up front, Max Sasson had a strong game last night. I thought Archdeep Baines actually looked pretty good as well. Linus Karlsson, Aatu Ratu, you know the names. We've been talking about them all off season. How do you see this shaking out in the end?
Yeah, and again, watching practice today, I think some interesting developments there that Coots was the third line center, which is something that we haven't seen, but the top six was Petey in his line, and then Hedl with Kane, and Garland was on the other side. So Connor Garland in the top six role. And then you had Braden Coots centering a third line. And the Abbotsford guys together skated on a line again. But I wonder, is that the fifth line right now as things are constructed? And does that tell us that they are looking long and hard at Braden Coots? Not only playing tomorrow night against the Oilers, but getting the opportunity to start the season. So, again, they all have to get through this preseason game healthy, and then those decisions will be made. But, the other development today was that Aatu Ratu, who's had a strong, last four periods. I thought he had a sluggish start up until the third in Calgary, or in Edmonton the other night, scored there, and then did a lot of good things last night. He slipped to the wing today on a line with Teddy Bluger, and that's a place that he has played before, but in this camp, he's been used exclusively as a center, aside from a few shifts in, I think it was the game against the Oilers the other night. So, he had a really strong night in the faceoff circle. We know that that's an area that he can contribute to this hockey club, and he can still take a ton of draws, obviously, even if he is positioned on left wing. So just the way that they had it all set up at UBC today, it makes you wonder if that's what they're thinking with Aatu Ratu, that yes, he's going to make this team, but not as the center as we all projected, and that maybe the kid, Braden Coots, is going to be the third line center when they start playing for keeps next week.
I think it makes sense because between Ratu and Bluger, they probably want both of those guys in the lineup. They probably feel that, we need Aatu Ratu's ability in the faceoff dot. And again, last night he was 71% in the faceoff dot. But we also need Teddy Bluger's penalty killing for that first unit, especially with how elite Vancouver's PK was for most of last season and how important that's going to be for their chances to win. So they probably look at, if you've got Patterson, Hedl, Coots, one of Ratu or Bluger will have to shift to the wing if we're going to keep both of them in the lineup. And so it is kind of interesting that then comes at the expense of some of the Abbey wingers. I wanted to shift and ask you about Elias Pettersson. He uncorked a lethal one-timer goal last night, which is great to see. But just stepping back, what you've seen from him from the last couple of weeks as a whole, what's your confidence level that he's going to bounce back and really hit the ground running as a legit 1C?
So disappointed that he didn't score on the penalty shot to extend the lead there last night. I think for me, like, again, the one-timer, great. Like, I do want to see that. We've talked about his shot volume and velocity being down. And so, again, positive reinforcement, do it, and it goes in. Like, just sort of that muscle memory that, hey, like, remember the playoff game against Nashville where he missed the wide-open net and hands in his head in his hands and all that kind of stuff? Like, you know, again, for him to pull the trigger from that spot on the ice last night, I think just a reminder that, yeah, you know, it's there. Not that he's ever forgotten how to shoot the puck, but for me, it was 6 shot attempts. Like, you know, the goal is great. And I think a lot of people are buzzing about the goal. I like 6 shot attempts. And the fact that prior to the goal, he had a couple of shots, missed the target, whatever, when it came and was in his wheelhouse, wasn't hesitant, wasn't frustrated by what had happened just before that, continued to hammer away. So I like that part. Look, I think he's been pretty invested through training camp. I've said all along, like, I don't need him to be the best player on the ice in the preseason. I don't need him to rack up points in the preseason, but I also didn't want him to go through a preseason and play 3 times and have nothing to show for it, and him wondering and the fan base wondering, like, you know, is it ever happening? Is it the same guy? So I do think that there was a bottom line element to it all. I've just constantly said, though, I wanted to see some flashes, and I would say the one-timer was a flash. I think that, you know, he had that chance against Seattle on the doorstep set up by Evander Kane. I would like to have seen him score, but I like the fact that he went hard to the net there. The puck arrived when he did. In the scrimmage in Penticton, like, he tried to beat, I think it was Lecker-Mackey, you know, one-on-one, put the puck through his legs and do some of the, like, do your dekes, that kind of stuff. So, you know, there have been moments along the way. Has he dominated? No. Am I comfortable sitting here and saying that he's going to hit the ground running? No. Like, I think this is going to be an ongoing evaluation for the coaching staff and the fan base as well. But there have been some encouraging signs. I think I feel better about his game today compared to the eve of the preseason finale a year ago. And we know that there were struggles early and they continued all season long. So, you know, the hope is that he can take the positives out of the preseason. And it's only been 2 games for him. That's the other thing. Like, I saw people coming out of the Seattle game, like, he didn't have any points. It was 1 game. It was his first game. You know, would you have felt better about his game if he had scored the empty netter instead of Evander Kane? You know, it isn't about points at this time. It really is more about the process. So I've seen some signs that lead me to believe that good things are going to come, but ultimately it's going to be on him starting next week. And look, for both DeBrusk and Brock Besser, like, they need those guys to score goals. Those 2 guys need Elias Pettersson to be dealing and dishing the way that he has in the past, because certainly Brock isn't a guy that creates a ton on his own. And, you know, Jake DeBrusk, we saw a ton of greasy goals, the blue paint goals, but imagine if you have Elias Pettersson making plays, drawing defenders to him, creating space for his wingers and getting them the puck, then I do think that the potential there is fairly enticing. But so much of the winger's success, obviously, is going to hinge on the play of the guy in the middle.
Jeff, last one from me. Is it hard to say more nice things about Quinn Hughes, come up with new things to say about Quinn Hughes? Just unbelievable again last night.
I thought he was the best player on the ice against the Kraken. And that was his first preseason game. And it was like, oh, yeah, you know, shake the rust off. This guy's controlling. And the Kraken didn't have a huge lineup. I get that. But, yeah, I mean, he serves notice to everybody 6 minutes into that game last night with the home run pass onto the stick of Brock Besser. And there were just so many plays. He makes it look so effortless. Like, I could sit and watch him on a loop going back for loose pucks and having guys right on his tail, and just the way he shakes them and creates space and separation. And even in the preseason, like, it is a delight. And I heard Shorty there last night telling us all we really should appreciate. And I think everybody does, but it's just a reminder that this guy is on a different level, even in a preseason game. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Quinn Hughes can do. We know that even through the team struggles last year when he was healthy, you know, that first half of the season, like, legitimate heart candidacy conversations, and rightly so. Like, he came off his Norris win, and I think took his game to another level for the first 45 games until he got the hand injury around Christmas time, and then we know what happened in the back half of the season. But yeah, like, he is the heart, the soul, the engine, you name it, and he looks like he's ready to go here when they drop the puck on the season opener next week, and so that's a really good sign. We talked about Petey. Thatcher Demko back on the ice at practice. That's good news since he needed his personal day the other day, and I think a lot of people thought maybe the Canucks were resting him. There was injury issues. He was back, full participant in practice, and I think he's been really strong. Goaltending, kind of quietly, goaltending here through training camp and preseason has been excellent for the Vancouver Canucks, and I think we all thought that, look, they have a strong 1-2 punch. I think Tolopilo, when he's played, has been really good. So that's a nice step for him getting ready to become the guy in Abbotsford. Organizational strength, I think, without a doubt. But, if Demko can play at the levels that we've seen him in the past, I really think that he can change the conversation of what might be possible for this team. So we've all been focused on a lot of other battles, but really quietly, to me, goaltending has just been a really constant good news story for the Vancouver Canucks. Let's see if that can continue.
Jeff, great stuff as always. We'll see you on Rinkwide again tomorrow.
Yeah, we got her going last night. It was great to get back in the chair there and have Earth with me, and lots of people checking us out. Yeah, we'll do it again tomorrow night after the preseason finale. And then, of course, on we go to game number 1 next Thursday night against those same Calgary Flames. I would imagine they'll be a little bit better, but it's the back half of a back-to-back for them after playing in Edmonton. And I when the schedule came out, I looked at that and I thought, all right, like, that's a Dustin Wolf game on opening night, obviously, against the Oilers. Sure. Does that mean the Canucks are going to see a backup, or is it early in the season that the Flames might roll with Dustin Wolf in back-to-back games?
I was just going to ask you.
He's going to have to play 70 games for them. Like, honestly. Does it start that soon? Or, is there a world in which it doesn't go well for the Flames on opening night against the Oilers and they get Wolf out of there early and have him? So I don't think it's as simple to sit here today and say, the Canucks are going to get a backup. But there are some scenarios at play that the Flames are going to have some decisions to make. But yes, the Canucks get Calgary on the back end of back-to-backs to start the season.
The funniest scenario would be the Flames potentially claiming a goalie on waivers, because Mikey DiPietro has been rumored as a guy that some teams might have interest in if he hits the waiver wires. Can you imagine if the Flames claim DiPietro and he's going up against the Canucks in Vancouver's season opener? That'd be such a fun storyline.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is possible after what we saw last night that they may, with the waiver roster set and all those types of things, there may be a goaltending move there for Calgary. So we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but whatever the case, that's a good bounce for the Canucks right out of the gate to get a Calgary team that has to play in Edmonton the night before.
Love it. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys.
There he is, Jeff Patterson. Reed's work, CanucksArmy.com, and of course, Rinkwide, Vancouver, wherever you get your podcasts. All right. I want to talk more about the game, but let's just save it for anyone else. Let's just get to Family Feud. You good with that?
Yeah.
All right. Technical producer Jacob Bazar, take it away.
All right. It's kind of our first normal feeling Family Feud. First one, obviously, we were up in Penticton. Last week, we were in studio. Now we've got a regular remote setup. This kind of feels like the Family Feud we're all used to. For those of you who have not seen us play, this is Family Feud Fast Money. The guys will take turns going over our, trying to guess our survey results. Harm, you're going first, or?
I think so. That's what we've been doing.
Yeah,
right?
Harm goes first. There's a lot of new people. We should say this as well. There's a lot of new people, I'm sure, on podcasts as well. But on YouTube, people are coming back because, 8-1 win. Canucks are back, baby. It's almost season time. We've got a lot of new people watching the show today. So, yes, we're going to play Fast Money. We survey Canucks Conversation listeners every week. The survey for the next week will be out probably tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. So you can fill it out in the show description later. But for now, we're going to play last week's survey.
Exactly. Okay, so Quads, you'll have to pop out those headphones. No listening as Harmand goes first. Harmand will have 25 seconds on the clock. His time will begin when I finish reading the first question. Harm, if you can't think of a response, say pass. We'll come back to it at the end. Also, we'll tell Quads after. This is another, I would say, fairly easy week. There's some really big answers out there, but then there's also a few questions that are, a little more spread out. So I'm expecting the win. Let's see if you can get off to a good start. Quads, have you disconnected those AirPods? Yep, it looks like he has. Fantastic. All right, Harm, you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, now first off, I will say with this question was written last week. There has been some NHL news that is going to affect the question. Just remember, most of the responses came in before the news broke.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind.
All right.
Of these 6 star pending unrestricted free agents over the next 2 off seasons, how many will re-sign with their current teams? Connor McDavid, Kirill Kaprizov, Jack Eichel, Nico Hischier, Cale Makar, and Quinn Hughes.
You said 6 total?
Yeah.
4 will re-sign.
4. How many NHL teams will Elias Pettersson play for by the time he retires?
1.
Who is the most handsome current Canuck?
Brock Besser.
Who will score the first goal of the season for the Canucks?
Elias Patterson.
Which Canuck will have the highest shooting percentage this season?
Elias Patterson.
Just ahead of the bell. All right, flag Quads down. I'll tally up your score.
Okay, I feel decently about that.
Hang on. Okay, how'd it go, Harm?
I think it went all right. I think we should. I don't want to speak too soon, but I think this is a winnable week for sure.
You going first is a really funny development because when I used to go first and you would say, how did we do? I'd be like, amazing. I'm pretty sure I got 200 points. And then Jake would be like, Quads, you got 54.
I just need to listen back to one of Harm's answers. So stall for like
take your time. Karn said Harm destroyed that in the chat. People try not to talk about the answers that Harm gave in the chat. I don't want any help like that. Anyways.
Well, I mean, it's on you to not look at the chat, though.
Well, I read the chat all the time.
Well, come on, you can't do that in between.
Well, you don't read the chat. Someone's got to do it.
Well, not in between when you know you're about to go up.
Okay, fine. I'll put my chat away. I'll put the chat away. I guess it's not that hard to just swipe down and not watch it right now.
Yeah.
But anyways, I got a good setup for watching it. Okay, Jacob's listening.
You might get buzzed a few times.
Okay, like I did. I got buzzed 5 times in the first week. So
Harmon got 132 points.
Nice, sweet, good job.
Very, very good start. There's still some number 1 answers available though, Quads. So you have a pretty clear path to victory. Quads will have 30 seconds on the clock. His time will also begin when I finish reading the first question. If he gives one of Harmon's answers, we will hear the buzzer. There it is. And I will ask him to try again. Quads, if you can't think of a response, say pass. We'll come back to it at the end if we have time. Last thing I'll say, the first question, slightly impacted by recent NHL news. Just remember the majority of the responses came before the news broke. It'll be very obvious what news I'm talking about.
Okay.
And so just keep that in mind when you answer that question.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready to go?
Yes.
Of these 6 star pending UFAs over the next 2 off seasons, how many will re-sign with their current teams? Connor McDavid, Kirill Kaprizov, Jack Eichel, Nico Hischier, Cale Makar, and Quinn Hughes.
You're asking for a number, right?
Number. How many?
4.
Try again.
3.
How many NHL teams will Elias Pettersson play for by the time he retires?
1.
Try again.
2.
Who is the most handsome current Canuck?
Brock Besser.
Try again.
Kevin Lankinen.
Who will score the first Canucks goal of the season?
Brock Besser.
Which Canuck will have the highest shooting percentage this year?
Brock Besser.
There you go. Okay.
I like it, Quads.
Did I just rattle off 3 Brock Bessers?
Well, I did the same thing with Elias Pettersson, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
So it's really funny. Those last 3 questions, there are quite a few people who in the survey rattled off like Besser.
Yeah, good.
So
the people, you tally those up, Jacob, but the people think I'm cheating. I'm not cheating because usually the chat doesn't talk about the
new rule. You can't under any circumstances
I'll
look
put
at
it away now. I'll put it away, but usually the chat doesn't talk about. And all that I read, by the way, was someone said 2 PD answers. Let's go. That's all I read, so it didn't even help me in the survey.
I mean, one of the questions was even about Paterson, so it's not very helpful at all. So, okay, let's go through.
People saying I'm cheating. I ain't cheating, man. I don't cheat.
So for the first question, how many of those pending UFAs will sign? Obviously, Kaprizov is signed, so there's one off the board. But I think the nature of the question still stands.
I should have gone higher though. I'm sure I should have gone higher.
Well, so Harmand gave the answer 4. Quads, you also started with 4 and got buzzed. That was the number one answer. 39 points. Quads, you went down to 3, right?
Yeah, which I shouldn't have. It should have been.
That's the number 3 answer.
Yep,
Number 5 was the number 2 answer.
Okay. How many points do we get?
You still got 20 points for that. So you're good. You guys are up to 152.
Okay.
How many teams will Elias Pettersson play for by the time he retires? 1 was the number 1 answer. Quads, you went up to 2. That was the number 2 answer. Right. Swedish players generally pretty loyal to their teams. You don't see them bouncing around too often, but we have seen some at the end of their careers venture off. Matt Sundin, obviously Sundin played for a team before Toronto, but you know what I mean. Daniel Alfredson as well. Elias Pettersson, 2 was the number 2 answer. Actually, this was the first question in Canucks Convo Family Feud history where the answers of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were the number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 answer in that order.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
It never before happened. So very interesting there. You guys up now to 186 points. You need only 14 to get the win. Who's the most handsome current Canuck? Brock Besser is the number 1 answer. Quads, no love for Kevin Lankinen. Not a single vote.
That's
wow.
Wrong. Brock's objectively correct. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
No, honestly, sorry. 2. There was 1 Kevin Lankinen.
Kevin Lankinen's mom filled out the survey. Who is number 2?
Number 2 is Victor Mancini.
Oh yeah. Okay,
that's a good. That's a good.
That's a good one. That's a good
friend
one.
of the show, Victor Mancini.
Yes. Number 3, the new face on the block, Evander Kane.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 is Kiefer Sherwood. 5 is Nils Höglander. So there's your top 5.
I'm surprised Höglander didn't get more votes. I swear there was like a subsection of Canucks Twitter that is obsessed with him.
Well, that if we put that one out to the masses on Twitter, I think there would have been more.
I don't think the Höglander forever crowd is listening to Canucks Convo. I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah. But I know what you're talking about. I've seen that subsection, Harm.
Well, yes. every fan base has one guy.
Dude, it's like, do you remember when Forbert signed here? It was like, oh, I'm glad Canucks fans are liking me because they were threatening to kill me when I jumped Höglander or whatever. Do you remember that in the 2021 season?
Oh, yeah,
they've been around for a while, man. They even sent Derek Forbert death threats.
So yeah, there we go. A few people asking, or why would you ask this question? We do have women and just anyone in general who is attracted to men who watch Canucks Conversation. And you know what? I wanted a question.
Okay, hang on a sec. You don't need to be attracted to men to talk objectively. Dude,
don't get me wrong, Quads. I'm well aware.
It reminds me of. Have you seen that clip of the Red Sox fan? It's like a street interview, and he goes up to him. And he's like, "Oh, who's the most handsome Red Sox?" And the guy loses his mind.
That's like, where I got the inspiration for the question from. Quads.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm not gay. I'm not gay." It's like, okay, but chill out. Anyways,
look, we can objectively appreciate the handsome members of the Canucks, but I figured there's a small but dedicated audience or subsection of the audience of Canucks Conversation who was going to appreciate this question. So
and those that don't, I want to put you on a lie detector test, and we'll say, is Brock Besser handsome? And no. Yeah, we'll see how that goes for you.
Exactly. Who will score the first Canucks goal of the season? You guys need 13 points. Harm, you said Elias Pettersson. That was the number 2 answer. Quads, did you go with Besser on this one?
Which one?
First goal of the season.
Yeah, I went Besser. Yeah.
Sorry, actually, Pettersson was the number 3 answer, Harm. Brock Besser, the number 2 answer, 18 points. That's enough for the win.
Woo!
We'll quickly over the last one. Highest shooting percentage. Harmand also answered Pettersson here. That was the number 3 answer. Quads, you got the number 1 answer with Brock Besser. As a team, you guys got 4 of the 5 number 1s. The only one you missed was Jake DeBrusk to score the first goal of the season for the Canucks. Lekramaki got some votes. There was some Braden Coots in there as well.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome.
That would be electric.
That very electric. Highest shooting percentage, again, just kind of a pretty wide spread of forwards. Someone, and I actually really like this. This is a very creative response because I saw it and I'm like, oh, that's a weird thought. And then I thought about the question in shooting percentage. Someone said Thatcher Demko to have the highest shooting percentage. Demko is going to score a goal on an empty net. That will be his only shot on goal of the season. He will have a 100 shooting percentage.
That's awesome.
So whoever filled that out, thank you. I got a very good laugh. And,
so far, it's Derek Forbert. Derek Forbert's got like one shot and it's win in the net. So yeah,
I don't think anyone answered Forbert, but yeah, after last night, might have to put him on shooting percentage watch.
I got a prediction for you guys. Write it down, Jacob. Braden Coots' first goal. He's making this roster. I don't think it's a question anymore. His first goal is going to come October 11th. We're going to have our watch party, and it's going to happen that night against the Edmonton Oilers, team he grew up rooting for. He's going to have a whole cheering section. He's going to score his first goal October 11th. I can literally, Jacob left his mic on. I can hear Jacob writing it down, which just gives me so much
was typing it down.
I love it. Yeah, write it down. All right, let's get to anyone else, which is a presentation of Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid, a no-compromise approach to electric vehicles that offers the best of both worlds. Drive up to 72 kilometers on the battery alone and seamlessly transition from electric mode to the gas engine for a combined range of 962 kilometers. There's no sacrifices when it comes to horsepower or style with its sleek, low, and wide exterior and sophisticated interior. It's loaded with tech that's actually easy to use. Plug in to recharge at home or at one of the over 2,000 public charging stations in BC alone. And now you can lease a 2025 Prius plug-in hybrid SE from $99 weekly at 3.49% APR for 60 months with $3,800 down. And it includes a $3,000 discount. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. All right. I want to touch on a couple more things from the game. We had some audio, some from Brock Besser last night and also from Adam Foote out at UBC today. Again, actually, yeah, let's let the audio speak for itself. And Jacob, I'm sorry if I'm putting you on the spot because you're still doing Feud stuff.
No, I'm ready.
Okay, then let's start with Besser. I want to hear what Besser said last night.
It should give us a lot of confidence. I think it shows that when we put the effort in determination, I think it really shows what we can do and how the chances we can create out there. So I think it was a step in the right direction, and we got to build off it now.
Okay, so a couple things from that answer. The thing that kind of stood out to me was the effort part, right? It was the obviously confidence building, right? But did that win, and I know it's a preseason win, so try not to make fun of me for saying this, but did that not feel like a 23-24 Canucks win where they give up some chances early and Lankinen was there to shut the door? In 23-24, it was Demko. Goalie shuts the door early, lets them kind of find their footing a bit, and then they're so heavy on the forecheck. They are reloading really well when the defensemen are pinching, and they're creating. And did that not feel like a similar win where they were just outworking the opposition and just swarming them on the forecheck?
It's a different style of play, though. The 23-24 Canucks, they were still aggressive on the forecheck, and really the identity of that team, what really stood out to me was just how ferocious that back check was and what it meant as far as limiting rush chances defensively. But this is more wide open, high event hockey in comparison. Rick Tocchet hockey in 23-24 was there are going to be no rush chances against us. That was kind of the identity of that team. And sure, that squad ended up scoring some rush goals offensively because they went on a shooting percentage bender, but they never created off the rush. Even when they were scoring, they weren't creating chances in bulk. I've referenced this before, but they were 32nd in rush chances generated for, whereas this is, all right, transition both ways. This is high event hockey. This feels like a track meet. This is fast paced. And you're right, where the goaltending is such an edge, and that has to stand up for their style to continue being effective. And so the goaltending still being a central identity part of it. Sure, that is reminiscent of the 2023-24 team, but the way they're playing stylistically is different. Like the defenseman having more of a license. Derek Forbert on the penalty kill, jumping up in the rush to turn it into an odd man scenario. Like that didn't happen under Rick Tocchet. Even the way the defensemen are pinching so aggressively, and it's putting an onus on, like as F2 and F3, for example, on the 23-24 Canucks, it was more reloading so that you're ferocious on the back check and that you're funneling puck carriers to sort of one side and your D can step up. Whereas this is different because it's the D that have the green light first to step up on the forecheck a lot of times. And then as F2, F3, you almost have to be reloading to cover for the defenseman in the neutral zone.
Yep.
And be back there as a layer of support behind. So I agree in the sense that players are moving fast. They are having to really move their legs, play with pace, but it's just their systems wise, it looks a lot different than the 23-24 Canucks.
For sure. There's just the effort. The effort level is definitely there. Let's hear what Adam Foote said today out at UBC.
Good things happened with Cliff. I didn't like our start, but we hung in there, and Lanks played well at the beginning. They had a couple great A's, but that's what a good goalie does for you. And I like the way we stuck to it, though, and we got better in our system. We had a lot of drives, good offensive. Guys were skating hard.
I'm sorry, did Adam Foote just pull something blue for his hat out of the closet? That's not a Canucks hat. That's like a generic Lululemon hat. That's not even the right color blue. Did he just pull it out of the closet? Thank you, Jacob. Did he just pull that out of the closet?
Probably, yeah.
That's hilarious. That's the wrong shade of blue. Oh, man. That's really, really funny. I don't even remember why I wanted to hear from Foote. That just totally threw me off. Seeing the wrong hat.
You told me his part about not liking the start.
Yes. So that's what I was. Thank you, Jacob. That's what I was going to get at, is that it's like you said, Harm. The goaltending is going to be so crucial for them to keep up this style, because if you're the team that's under siege, you need to be able to rely on your goaltenders. And so far, like Jeff said, they've certainly been able to do that. Any other takeaways that you wanted to get to from last night?
Just quickly looking through my notes. I want to see more from Linus Karlsson, right? Sasson and Baines came to play. Sasson with a couple of goals. His speed through the neutral zone was really impressive. Karlsson was just too quiet, right? He started camp well. First preseason game or two was he was playing well, but especially after the first period of the Edmonton game, I think his last 5 periods of play have just been too quiet. And one thing I've noticed as well, we were talking a lot about how he's become faster in a straight line. And that's true, but the last couple preseason games, I've noticed that when he's receiving a pass in the neutral zone and has to change direction to start moving up ice, the change in direction is very slow. Like, for him to turn his body around, because a lot of times you're having your body's sort of like half facing your own net, as opposed to being pointed north. For him to shift and pivot on his skates, it looks clunky, it looks awkward, and it gives the opposition that extra fraction of a second to sort of get set defensively. And so that's something to just keep in mind, is he's become straighter in a fast line, but the changes in direction are still a little bit clunky and awkward.
Yeah, no, you're right. I was going to bring that up as well. Karn said this in the chat. Linus Karlsson seems more like a Talkit systems guy. He doesn't really have the speed for Foote style. What say you to that?
It's possible. We'll see. I'm curious to see, can his intelligence help him overcome the lack of foot speed? I still think that's a possibility. And we know that he, like, the one thing Karlsson has going for him in the first period of the Edmonton preseason game, for example, is what he lacks in foot speed. Sometimes he makes up for in anticipation, right? In the first period of that Edmonton game, he was just all over, and it was because he was in the right spots and sort of anticipating where the opposition was going to funnel its breakout route. And so if you're able to see the next play and you're able to get moving, that helps make up for any deficit you might have in foot speed. And plus his reach, despite being listed at 6'1", I swear his wingspan looks a lot longer than that. And it helps him just swap pucks out of the air, or just reach out and poke pucks away. That's gonna be key. Is okay, you don't have the best wheels, but can you rely on your brains and reach to still be disruptive on the forecheck and still win battles and still create those changes in possession that are going to be key to your line having puck possession on a fourth line?
Carn asked this: thoughts on the new aggressive PK? Obviously, 2 shorthanded goals, so look good, but could be taken advantage of with a talented opposing power play unit. I was really watching the penalty kill closely last night. It seems like they're going like 3 men low, and then the guy up high is the one that's really aggressive. So overall, it's more aggressive. But when you do that, like your rotations need to be on point, right? Because at some point, the guy that's up high and is aggressive is going to have to switch down low, and one of the guys down low is going to have to come out high and be aggressive. So you got to be really on point with that. I'm very curious to see how, we've talked a lot about, how long is the 5-on-5 play style is going to last. I was curious about that penalty kill as well.
Yeah, I didn't think it was over aggressive. Like they were applying pressure, but I didn't necessarily look at them. Like they seemed to have an understanding of, all right, when the puck was worked to certain parts of the flank or down low, they weren't reckless about just diving in and trying to win the puck back right away. They weren't chasing all over.
Yeah, it wasn't like the Sharks penalty kill. Like the Sharks penalty kill, that's what they do is they chase. They chase all over. They have 2 men up high, 2 men down low. The guys down low, if the puck's into the corner, they go chase, and then the guys up high come down, but not like they don't come low. They just come to kind of the high slot. So it's not that style. It's not 2 guys up high. It seemed like 1 guy up high, but then of course you have to rotate that guy. Yeah,
on the PK as well, the more noteworthy takeaway for me was it seems like Connor Garland's going to get that first shot on PK1 with Teddy Bluger. He had 409 on the PK last night. He was taking shifts with Bluger. And I like that idea, honestly, because we were maybe throwing around the idea of Kiefer Sherwood, who's really good on the PK last year. But I think Sherwood is at his best when he's applying vertical up ice pressure and denying entries. And he did that again against Calgary, where he set up a Drew O'Connor breakaway chance in the first period. He is so good at when there's a puck carrier coming with speed through the neutral zone. At some point, that puck carrier usually has to kick it out to the wing because that's where there's a little bit more space. Sherwood is so good at anticipating that east-west pass to the wing and then using his hand-eye coordination to swat those pucks and just intercept them, right? We all remember last year, I think he did it twice against Colorado, and was like pickpocketing McKinnon doing that. Did that again against Calgary. And so with that in mind, I want Sherwood on the second unit, because when you're a second unit, you're coming on the ice usually when the opposing team has to generate those entries, as opposed to if you're on PK1, you're just in zone defending. So I like the idea of Garland being a PK1 guy. He obviously doesn't have the same reach that other guys do because he's a shorter player, but his work ethic, his anticipation, the way he wins battles, I like that as a first experiment.
S. Little Boston, in the regular season, does Hronek get called for holding last night on the Huberdeau collision with Lankinen, or does Huberdeau get goaltender interference? That was a weird one. Like, Hronek leaned on him, but it was just an unfortunate one where Huberdeau went in awkwardly.
Well, I also thought I didn't like the officiating at all last night. The officiating was in mid-season form for the league. You had even the Sasson goalie interference call.
Yeah.
It was like the goalie was out of the boot plate challenging that. What's Sasson supposed to do there?
Yeah, exactly.
The Mancini, what they called it, a hold on Coleman. That should have been roughing both ways. 2 for Mancini, 2 for Coleman. I don't know how the hell he ended up with the call there. Again, I'm not one to complain about the officiating. I'm usually the first one to say bad calls are going to go against you. You just gotta overcome it. But the officiating was subpar.
The offside. Don't forget the offside.
Oh yeah, the offside too.
The Flames' lone goal.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Okay, I said this earlier in the show with Jeff, but Vitaly Kravtsov hits waivers. I know you don't have anything to add on this aside from the fact that he got an opportunity at camp, never really ran with it, and was kind of the obvious one to get sent down. In shocking news, Joe Labate passed through waivers. Thank God. So he's in the AHL. Man, I've loved Labate's preseason. Like, he's been so good. It's been so much fun to watch. I mean, dude, that's a guy. If you're missing a bottom 6 guy, call up Joe Labate.
He just gets under everybody's skin.
Yeah.
It was funny last night seeing Rasmus Anderson Pissed off at him. LeBay, the other day, he got Joel Farabee to fight him. And it's just like, Joel Farabee is a middle six NHL player who normally never fights in the regular season, and you have him fighting in preseason. Like, what the hell did you do to get under his skin that heavily? So I love it. I mean, a lot of people throwing around the Sammy Blais comp. He's going to be Sammy Blais, but with less offense, because Blais at the AHL level is also a half-wall power play guy and a near point per game producer. LeBay doesn't have that kind of offensive chops even at the minor league level, but he is going to be that physical, hard to play against, absolute pain in the ass kind of player down in Abbey.
Last thing for me, I liked Ratu's game last night. Again, we were talking about, and I like that he's on the wing as well. Jeff brought that up. We didn't really get a chance to talk about it. I like that he's on the wing at practice today. I liked his game. We were waiting for one of those games for any of those bottom six guys to stand out. And I said, I thought it was good for Sasson, thought it was good for Baines, thought it was good for Ratu. Still don't know how it ends up shaking out. Like, you would assume, at least I would have said yesterday, that Max Sasson probably seems like the first guy who gets sent down, followed by Arsh Baines, and then it would be Karlsson and Ratu. But like you said, you're looking for more from Karlsson, but that's a guy that I think would get claimed off waivers. Probably the only guy of that bunch, aside from Ratu, that would get claimed on waivers. So
well, it's
really,
also, as we discuss the battles, it's worth mentioning that Sasson is exempt. He does not require waivers to be sent down.
Right. Yep. That's
so
right.
that ironically kind of works against him.
Yeah.
In his attempts to make the team, because if you're Patrick Alvin and you're saying we want to keep these guys within the organization, and Sasson's played well, but he's around the same level of a Baines or Karlsson in terms of immediate impact, it's so much easier to just send him down to the A, as opposed to if you're trying to ice Sasson on the opening night roster, well, then you're going to have to expose a Karlsson or a Baines to waivers, which they might not want to do.
Yeah. All right, that's all I got. Anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
Perfect. Let's go to our Bet365 bet of the day. Harm, I called it. The Yankees took it last night, and tonight they are the favorites. Yankees are the favorites. Man, oh man, this is going to be a good one. And I don't know if you've watched any playoff baseball, but all of the series, except for Dodgers Reds, has been absolutely phenomenal. It's been cinema, man. Like, playoff baseball is so awesome. And tonight, game 3 between the Yankees and Red Sox, winner moves on to the ALDS. The stakes couldn't be much higher, and I'm very, very excited for this one. And like I told you all yesterday, I think the Yankees are taking this series. I think they're going to be the first team to come back in a wildcard series. Jacob told us this. The team that wins the first game always goes on to win the series. Yankees did not win the first game, but I think they're going to win it tonight. I'm sorry, yes, little Boston. And wait, didn't I say, don't I want the Red Sox to win because of no, I want the Yankees to win, right?
Yeah. And I will say the Tigers Guardians just wrapped up. Guardians couldn't make the comeback, so that holds true. Tigers won game 1, win the series. Cubs are up 2-0 in the third. They won game 1. Could they go on to win the series? We'll see if the Yankees can break that trend finally in the late game.
Who's a better matchup for the Blue Jays? Who should I be hoping the Blue Jays get?
Jacob, you answer this, but I say Red Sox.
I'd say Red Sox, but like
the Jays play such small ball, and they have a good batting average. Put the ball. It's how the Dodgers beat the Yankees last year. Put the ball in play, and they'll make errors.
Yeah, like I think that. Realistically, the Jays probably, if you're looking at when they go on the road, the Jays fit Fenway Park better than they fit Yankee Stadium. I'd rather them play the Red Sox just for their away games. They can play their style of baseball, which is really good outfield defense, putting the ball in play and forcing the other team to make plays. Like the Yankees at home in the playoffs, like you can hit a pop-up that goes for a home run down the line and you lose a game because of it. So that being said, though, the Jays played the Yankees well this year. So I'm not too concerned either way. I would rather see the Red Sox go on just because I don't hate Red Sox fans the way I hate Yankees fans. Sorry if you're a Yankees fan, but
I want Yankees so that I can golf on Saturday. So I'm taking Yankees money line, -155 odds. They're the favorite tonight. You can get that over at Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary. Bet365. Download the app and get it on the game. Use the code NATION at Bet365. Must be 19 plus to play. If you choose to play, please play responsibly. I'm gone tomorrow. My brother's getting married. Shout out to my brother and his soon-to-be wife. I'll be gone tomorrow, but Harmand will have you covered with Irfan Ghaffar filling in for me. So for my co-host Harmand Dial, Aaron Tuck and producer Jacob Lazar, my name is Dave Virgelli. See you Monday, folks. They'll see you tomorrow, but my name is Dave Virgelli. Thanks so much for this episode of Canucks Conversation.
Canucks Conversation is live Monday through Friday, every weekday at 2 p.m. over on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and interact in the YouTube live chat every day with us, folks.